Hello, everybody, and welcome to the NooK on the Voluntary Virtues Network. I'm Mike. That is Matt.
Cheers.
Tim. This is Tim. This is Ryan. Well, as tradition states, we talk about beer a little bit first. If you're wondering why Steve isn't here, he's on a secret mission to the Frosty North.
Yes.
And he'll be back mid-January. So Steve will be back, so don't miss him too much. He's a good guy, and he will return soon, safe and sound from his secret mission in the Frosty North. I'm drinking tonight Stone Levitation Ale, which is pretty much anything from Stone is good. I think every one of us who had beer on the show has mentioned Stone is, well, pretty much everything they do is good. Every now and then they put out something that isn't so good. So Stone's always a good choice. It's made locally in Escondido, so always got to support your local brewery there. So, Matt, what you got?
I'm drinking Kalamazoo Stout.
Kalamazoo.
Yeah, I know. Bell's Brewery in Michigan. It's actually pretty good. I chose it based on the ratings on the internet, which I think I would have rated it slightly lower, but it is good. I haven't had too many good beers from the East, so cheers to you guys.
Didn't the internet say it was like the best beer that's ever been created in the history of all
it was
mankind
rated
or something? Yeah,
it was rated 100 on one site. I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
I checked another one, said 89. I was like, we'll average out, I'll buy it. I think it was worth the buy. I don't know if I'll buy it again, but it is good.
Fair enough. All right, turned
It
out
says
well.
it was brewed with brewer's licorice, which I don't know.
Brewer's licorice?
What exactly that is.
So that is obviously not wild licorice. It's something that's been bred specifically.
Yeah. Any of our viewers,
Yeah, I know.
please let us know.
Comment on YouTube. Tell me what brewer's licorice is. Is it grown in a basement, like deep down below, like the the surface of the earth? You know, EMP-proof bunker that's like nobody else knows how to get it. Because I've never heard of it before.
But we're in our EMP-proof bunker, so we can't use the internet right now.
We are currently in an EMP-proof bunker and have no access to the internet. So
yeah, it's a damn shame.
Yeah. We can communicate with Steve on his secret mission to the Frosty North through similar means, but that is something completely different.
Top secret.
We're using resonance of the Earth. It's a Tesla thing. We can't really talk about all of it right now because, yeah. Tim, what are you drinking? Kombucha.
Yes, a multi-green kombucha tea.
Nice.
Kombucha always delicious, and it counts because it does have a minor slider.
Yes, 0.005 alcohol, I believe. Something
It makes the cut,
Yes.
and it's always delicious and very healthy. So I always dig kombucha.
I'm without a beer, but if I was drinking a beer, I'd drink 90 Shilling from Fort Collins, Colorado.
90 shilling.
Can't get it out here, but
Okay,
Oh, wow. I'll have to look for this then.
yeah, 90 Shillings. It's good beer.
All right.
sounds good.
If any of you guys want to throw some advertising dollars?
Yeah, that whole time I had that one time I did that with Sam Adams did not work out well at all. We got no contact from the
Besides
company.
the cease and desist.
Yeah. So tonight's topic, I'm kind of surprised we never really just did central banking before. We never
I know.
just talked about it. I mean, obviously we touched on it when
Yeah.
we did Bitcoin, but we never just really just went out there and started talking about central banking. And I guess this is the way I explain it to people. Here's a starting point. Okay, so 100 years ago, money used to be this. Silver dollar. This is silver. It's an ounce of silver, or slightly less, 90% silver. Ding. And then they said, well, you know what? You don't really need that silver to move money around, so we're going to print these out. It's ink on paper, and this isn't important anymore, and it's not related. So here's your ink on paper.
Well, at one point they did.
At one point they both existed at the one time, yeah. But so the transition was, you know, you could turn this in and get one of these, so you didn't have to carry around a whole bunch of
Summer
coins.
of 1936.
Originally, paper money was designed as a receipt.
Yes.
So
There's a
someone's
bank
gonna hold
note,
on
bank
to your
receipts,
goods,
yeah.
Correct.
and then you were going to come back and get your goods later. But at some point, those started just being traded by themselves, and that's how paper money came about. Was I'd rather you just trade that note, the person go grab the gold, than the bank runs game.
Yeah.
And you've got people coming, the bank printing up more notes than gold they have.
Coming up with like being like, oh well, nobody's gonna come for all their gold today, so let's just write up a couple extra receipts and see if we can just squeeze out a couple more bucks out of today's business. And
Not a couple more bucks.
Yeah, a
They
couple
were
more.
average
Kind of where they go, the
90.
fractional lending, correct?
yeah, I mean that was probably the original idea for fractional lending was somebody was just like, well, let's do this. And then they probably talked to another banker friend who was like, hey, you know what I've been doing? And guess what happens? Nobody finds out about it. You throw in some extra receipts into the till that day, and nobody's ever gonna come in at once. Problem is,
They all came in at once.
it will always happen. Eventually, you put so many of them out there, and something bad happens. People bring back receipts, and there's no gold or silver or some older examples probably there was no grain for it. Here's your receipt for your grain. Oh,
No
crap. Yeah.
And then over 7 generations, you can just ditch the silver and trick people into thinking that the printed
Hey,
stuff
this-
is the real thing.
Yeah, this thing we've been trading as money. It's obviously money.
Well, you can even outlaw it and to make it against the law to hold the gold and silver.
yeah.
Oh
and
yeah,
take it
that
from you.
that was what was that 19 was that 33? Yeah, it was 33. Roosevelt did that, and that was the beginning of the end of the gold standard. Was Roosevelt saying you cannot own gold and demanded that everybody turn in their gold. The thing that's funny about that is when you make a proclamation saying turn in your gold, everybody goes, oh yeah, what gold?
Yeah.
I don't have any gold. Like that's what people do. They know when something's up. You can smell a rat when there's a rat. So
But even now, right? If you try to sell gold from that era, I mean, they'll confiscate it if I'm not
Yes.
mistaken.
I've
Really?
heard something like
Yes.
that. I don't know exactly how it's written up, but I'm sure anything they can steal, they will.
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, there was,
sounds like
there was a
government
woman who
thing.
had, I think, somebody 25 or something in a Social Security deposit box. And I guess one of her great uncles or something had worked at the mint.
Mhm.
And they had issued so many. And I guess they had some type of recall on it, but there wasn't a he didn't do the recall. And when she found them in her safe deposit box, they took it. I'm not sure exactly the full details on the story, but it was in court for a little while, and she was trying to get it back.
Yeah, I think I might have read something about that too, where they just volunteered, that they had this and they just immediately came and confiscated it. Yeah, this is ours. I'm sorry. Thanks for holding on to it for so long.
I haven't heard the story, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's
Yeah,
true.
no.
That would not surprise me at all when it comes to the actions of government. To be like, oh, well, see, there was this law we passed like 80 years ago. Sure, you weren't alive then and you didn't have any input on it, but hey, guess what? We're taking your shit. So it's kind of what they do in general. But what always gets me nowadays is that so it goes from, well, here's your receipt for your gold or your silver.
Yeah.
And then it was just, oh, well, here's your receipt. No, this isn't a receipt. This isn't, I can't go, what does it say on here? Federal Reserve note, what's that? Oh, it's a bank. What's that? It's the Central Bank of the United States. Well, is it a government agency? No, it's not. Why does it say federal? Don't ask too many questions. You're not gonna sleep very well.
Express.
Yeah, it's about as federal as federal respects. No relation whatsoever. And now you have it to the point where, what is it? Probably last I heard, 1 to 3% of U.S. dollars are actual physical notes. The other
Yep.
97% is
about
literally ones and zeros going back and
Ones and
forth.
zeros.
So like, what they're saying that your money that you have on account, they only have to keep, 10% of it as reserve now, I think. So, you have $100 in your account, they only really have 10 of it. And so it's to the point now where if you go to a bank and you have like 10 grand, you go, hey, I'd like to close my bank account and get my 10 grand out. You literally have to give them days notice. You can't just go in there and be like, I want to close my account. They'd be like, we can't do that.
Yeah.
Because they don't actually have 10 grand to give you. Probably don't even, at all. In the whole bank, they probably don't even have it.
No, and that's
I think-
absolutely true.
yeah.
I've cashed a check for over that amount before, and it wasn't a day's notice; it was a week's notice.
Yeah.
We have to get cash sent in. It's like a special
Yeah.
requirement or request that you have to make.
It's crazy.
The armored truck really has to show up with a heavy load.
Well, not
today.
only that, but then you got to sit down with the bank manager for a half an hour and go through a whole questionnaire about what you're going to do with it and everything,
With your
and
own
what.
money.
Yeah, luckily, when I did this, it was 4 or 5 years ago, and I just BS my way through it and told them I was a sheep herder and needed feed for the sheep and all kinds of crap.
That's a good
That's
response.
awesome.
Yeah. Now, did you give that in response to the "Are you a terrorist?" question? And you said, "No, I'm a sheep herder," or because I picture talking to a bank manager for half an hour. Like, I don't care what they're asking me. I'm seeing like a bead of sweat on my forehead, just being like, Jesus, what are you gonna ask me
It's
to?
my money.
Yeah, seriously, how many questions do I have to answer to not, have like the FBI start asking me questions or something? I just want to get my money out,
Yeah, I took it as a ridiculous thing, and so I gave them ridiculous answers.
Yeah,
I figured it was what were they gonna do?
yeah.
So
Well, it was a game they were playing, so you might as well play well,
Exactly,
That was
yeah.
a game, right?
I think another important thing to talk about is inflation, though.
Oh
In-
yeah,
Inflation is theft.
inflation.
I
is
mean,
that,
they are, every time that they print more money, that makes all the other money worth less. And that is directly taxing anybody who is using that currency.
well, it's not taxing them; it's taxing generations down the line.
Well, anybody who
Yeah.
uses that currency after that point.
Yeah.
Especially at that point, if you have savings, then those savings are reduced in value, and it's with the fact that they make people use the currency, and then they inflate it
On
and
purpose, by the way, on purpose.
Yeah.
It's stated goal to inflate the currency, like what 2% every year.
Yeah.
They say something like that. I don't know. But of course, it's more than that. But they always try to say like, well, inflation is going up only 2% a year minus gas, food, and something else they exclude from that. It's like gas, food, and
anything
something
that's
else.
rising.
Yeah, pretty much. Anything that people
Anything
buy
that-
every day,
water.
they don't include it in their metric of what is inflation.
Right, that
Yeah.
changes because the CPI used to include all that, and
yeah.
and it's been taken
Well,
out.
it's obviously manipulated to make their numbers look better.
So it was once valued upon the silver and gold, so basically now what is it valued on, the labor or, each
They
individual?
claim it's backed by the full faith
The
and
full
credit
faith
of
and
the
credit.
United States.
Right, and I've always thought of
so
that
Which
as
is basically, we have a gun in your face.
So no, actually, so they got rid of the gold and silver, and the paper went, and all of a sudden they issued starting birth certificates. Is this correct? In order to make account for the Federal Reserve, because I believe that's how we're going to get how are we going to have them pay? Because
Social Security.
a lot of different things changed. Yeah,
It-
as far as the funding
I've
goes.
heard that.
You hadn't heard
I
that?
have heard that.
Oh, you have
yes.
heard that.
Is that the general argument that like a birth certificate is like collateral for?
Basically,
for
yeah,
the-
I've heard they
for the
actually
Federal
are
Reserve?
traded.
Okay.
I heard they are actually traded on the stock exchange as far as that goes. Birth certificates.
I heard that too, and that is like
It's in
way
freedom to
deep into
fascism, if I
yeah. I
remember
mean that's
correctly.
pretty deep in there. To
Yeah,
me,
no,
it's backed on the fact that we are going to threaten future generations with violence.
That's
so
exactly-
every
Yeah,
dollar
yeah, it's pretty
is
much, yeah,
printed.
yeah, pretty much.
It's
I
a
think
guarantee.
that's what the whole full faith and credit of the United States
Yeah,
is.
that we can
You
tax
have
people in the
faith
future.
that-
Don't worry about it. We got this. We've been doing this for a long time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you should have faith that if you don't use our money, we have lots of guns. I think that's their whole faith part.
And I guess the other thing that it is backed up by is probably I think kind of the most depressing thing is that it's literally backed up by oil at this point. That it is the officially full faith and credit of the United States government, but there is a thing called the petrodollar, or at this point, as of this date, a month ago, 2 months ago or something, that used to be called the petrodollar. It's done now, by the way, in case you guys thought that that's the way it was still working. There's no longer a petrodollar because Russia, China, and India have all gotten together and they are buying and selling oil without using the US dollar. So
that's why gas prices.
yeah, petrodollar, there was an agreement in the early 50s between Saudi Arabia and the United States that oil will only be bought and sold in US dollars, because after the war there was no gold attached to the dollar anymore, so it was worth nothing, but it was worth something because guess who won the war? I guess the US did, or came out on top. They were bombed less. So that agreement was that's how oil will always be bought and sold. So now we get to the point where apparently the whole entire world is sick of that, or at least most of the world no longer wants to do that. So now it's going to be interesting to see what happens with this whole central banking thing. Who's going to win out on that one? Because every country in the world has a central bank, and who's going to get together with whom?
Not everyone.
Yeah.
If you want to know the ones that don't, it's the ones that all the war propaganda is about.
Accurate, right?
I'm pretty sure all the
Some
countries
people
that the U.S. wants to attack don't have central banks.
Yeah, I think the one I remember for sure who was doing something and
It was Libya.
yeah, it was Libya. I'm not saying anything good about Gaddafi. I don't like Gaddafi, but he was trying to bring back the concept of what they called the gold dinar, which was having gold and silver coins based on certain weight, similar to what the dollar was. And so when he started to do that, pretty fairly soon after that, after he started talking about it, that's when the propaganda against Gaddafi started, and well, not the propaganda against him, but that's when the whole revolution of a sort in Libya. I don't think the revolution in Libya was anywhere near as of a popular uprising as it was in Egypt. I think there was definitely some malfeasance going on in there. But
So speaking of war,
Ah,
central banks and
central
war.
banks in war. Well, see, here's the thing. This is where it gets
I
rolling.
like that.
Yeah, the way that it all works right now is that, or well, I take it back. No, it's always worked this way. It's always worked this way. What am I talking about? The way it works now. I guess I was just thinking that my thought process from earlier, but
They fund both sides of the war?
yeah,
No.
no, isn't true. No way. Yeah, no.
Oh.
Both for many, if not all, the wars for the past 200 some odd years or so have been. There's been a lot of banks making bets on both sides of the war. Really, really super good example was World War I.
Yeah.
There were all the
Right after the Fed.
all the banks in the United States and the Bank of England, they were making bets on who was going to win the war. They were buying bonds of the prospective nations involved in the war. And so when Germany started to lose, that's when the U.S. got involved because all the banks decided to put their bets on the United States. And that's when it was over after that. It was really, it was all bit. World War I is a horrible situation, and it was, all about debt and bonds and horrible stuff,
Yeah, they definitely are. Without central banks, I don't really think you could get wars on the scale that you do now.
Well, you couldn't get wars, right? Because then you have to go door-to-door sales and
You gotta
collect
go
money for the war.
without a central bank. It's much harder to collect taxes because with central bank you can just print as much as you want, or not even print anymore. You just type in a keyboard. Trillions of dollars through a keyboard.
Control P. What's in zeros? I heard we were talking about stats and stuff involving this, and one of them I heard was that the entire cost for the Iraq War so far is more than all the known gold in the world. So that goes to show you right now that you couldn't fight these sort of wars they have today without all this debt. There's no way it could happen. It's impossible.
Oh yeah, if you actually look at the amount of debt that's been created through war,
Yeah.
it's like unimaginable. I don't even understand how anyone could advocate for that. Well, I do. They're making money on
No,
it.
yeah.
A ton of money.
There was a video that came out a couple days ago about, it was, I guess, I really, really want to listen to it again. I heard part of it, and the guy's just coming up with these ridiculous arguments for it. He was the head of MasterCard for Asia.
Okay.
And he's talking about why Bitcoin's so horrible. And his entire argument is like, well, it's not centralized, it's not government sanctioned, like everything just straight peel to authority again. Of like,
all
well,
the reasons I do like
yeah,
Bitcoin.
all the reasons everybody who is involved in Bitcoin likes it is like, oh, you mean like there's nobody, or most likely nobody behind the
taking
wings.
50-60% of the taxing it, and
For some reason, rationalizing that they can, have a maintenance fee that they take out of your bank account every month. That's $5.
Automatically.
So is there actually somebody getting paid to go dust servers every month, and like everybody's collective maintenance fees for that bank is paying their paycheck or something? Like, I don't understand that.
The electricity for the zeros.
Yeah, oh yeah. It's a power bill for, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. A power bill. I figured it out right
I
there.
don't think that works out to $5 a person though. That's just my math.
Today on the podcast, I learned.
Let's see, I mean, I don't know.
Well, I want to talk a little bit about the psychological effects of inflation also.
Right.
Absolutely.
Generation after generation, things tend to just get harder and harder. And I think it's kind of plain to see if you look through your own generation. I was given a story about my grandfather in the 20s and 30s was able to expand our family farm to what it is today. And my grandfather was able to expand it a little bit, but had to contract it in the 80s when he started losing money. And now we're essentially just sitting on the land, being, overly taxed and barely able to make any money off of the land anymore. But at least my generation, I mean, me and my sisters, we all have houses and things like that, but, I'm not going to go out and be able to buy 1,000 acres of land. I'm not sure if, I'm as hard as working guy as my great grandfather was, but it's just, that possibility isn't there anymore.
Yeah.
And even with foreign countries, I was talking about South America, they tie their money directly to the US dollar. So any inflated money immediately inflates their currency, and they're in no shape to take that on as the US population is. So I mean, they're being devastated in a much quicker way than the US population anyway.
Well, the euro dollar destroyed. I mean, have wreaked havoc on the Italian economy and a handful of other economies. Having the euro coin come in, euro dollar. I mean, so the way it affected the.
Well, it's not only devastating, and then I mean the math, right? I mean, it's just a math equation. The math doesn't work. So whenever that math equation finally stops, it's a slow death until it's a quick death.
It also that also punishes people who are saving and encourages people to take on debt.
Like the rational thing to do. Hey, I'd like to buy something in the future. I don't have the money for it. I guess I should start saving money. But if you have an inflation rate that's, slowly but surely getting larger, the idea of saving starts to become almost kind of silly. Like, why?
Yeah.
So I'm putting money in a nice sturdy oak tree, or in my mattress, or in a hole in the ground somewhere.
It's gonna be worth less later.
Yeah, and it's just gonna sit there, and all of a sudden I dig it out 20 years later, and it's like, oh gee, I can buy a cheeseburger with a $20 bill or something,
Which also does the opposite effect. What we're saying is making people want to go into debt. Oh, well, yeah, $100 today.
Well,
I'll owe them $100 in 10 years, and that'll be nothing.
Yeah.
But
The smartest thing you can do with your money right now, right? As soon as you get a Federal Reserve note, is spend it immediately.
I would say that, yeah, you got to be, you got to choose wisely on what you're actually, if you plan on saving that and what you're going to buy with that. But I wouldn't recommend holding cash.
I mean, there's even commercials saying, if you can't afford your Christmas presents, you can put it on credit, and it says, get the credit you deserve. So it's like, you get the credit you deserve. Just pass it on, it's...
You deserve this, cuz.
Yeah, you deserve this credit.
Well, that's a little bit of a scary thought, right? Because, we're looking 10 years ago, that was sort of the beginning of the end until, 2007. So you're starting to see those, little trickles now. I think it was Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac. They're starting to pump in the 3% no down loans again.
Oh yeah. All of a sudden you can get a home loan now for 3% down. And what was it in 2008 when it went bad in 2008? What was it? Was it more than 3% or less than 3%, or was it 3% down too?
Around that, if I remember.
Yeah, I don't know. That'd be good thing to look up if they're trying to say you can do it with even less money now. Like, I don't know.
Well, no money down is probably about as low as it gets. Unless they start paying you to take out mortgages.
Yeah, I mean they have no idea what they're doing. That's why I don't believe in centralized planning. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I mean, when you get into central banks too, you're also looking about who are they going to loan the money to. Do you qualify? Now, say you're a small little guy with a really great idea that isn't some large corporation. Large corporation, has some influence somewhere in the central bank, maybe.
Or or some thug in another country that the government wants to overthrow their government to steal all their shit. I'm sure they'll throw some notes your way.
Well, sorry, we can't give you the loan, and a year later, someone comes out with another product, or 6 months later, a large corporation comes out with some product that's real close and to what you have, and they got the funding for it, you didn't, and there goes that, and more.
Yeah, and the thing is that every time like there is a fiat currency where there's nothing backing it, it always collapses.
To the value of what it's printed on.
Yeah, which is paper. So you can either, write, your grocery list on your worthless dollar bill now, or burn it, for heat, or, maybe use it as a plaster of Paris, make, like a piggy bank out of old US dollars and plaster, I don't know. But
it'll happen one day.
Yeah.
Couldn't tell you when. I'm not going to try to predict anything.
Yeah. But the euro has only been around for what? 15 years? When they introduced it in 2000, they started printing it out 2001, 2002, something like that.
Yeah.
And it's already a dead letter. Everybody knows it's not going to be around that much longer. And that wasn't like you're saying, it's pure math there. They had so many countries involved in that were already heavy in debt when they signed up for it.
Mm-hmm.
So the only option now is and they're already kind of trying it, is to get other countries, just anybody else to sign on to it, so they can be like, oh, well, look, we got more access to more debt over there.
Yeah.
They've got a couple extra serfs that we could write some, mortgages for or whatever, Yeah.
Maybe somewhere we should have started, and we're going to end with it, maybe is definition of fiat versus, you have a definition of fiat?
I haven't actually thought about this. I think you would need to.
I'd say it's fake and not backed up with anything. Pretty much, it's just simply non-existent.
Right, fiat currency is. Oh my gosh, I don't know that.
But hopefully in the future, like I see this as eventually going away. I think this is, and it may come back with a vengeance at one point or another because it ebbs and flows. I mean, there's been fiat currencies, for a long time. A couple hundred years back, you can go back and find them little ideas, little trial balloons that didn't work, or just simply the fractional reserve thing gets out of control, which it may as well be completely fiat at that point. But it makes me wonder, is there any sort of way would they start trying to issue loans so you could buy an Android or something to have your way with or something? But if it's an Android, we're thinking it's sentient, to.
So maybe a good question would be, at the point where we have robot sex.
Okay.
Would we have dollar bill slots, or is it going to be a QR code for Bitcoin, or is it a change?
Or the really funny scenario of the magnetic strip of swipe, where do you swipe it?
Yeah.
Will
there be an implant? I think we're done.
I mean, a new battery, maybe.
Yeah. I mean, a QR code. I guess that would work. Just kind of. Yeah, Airbits. Show the cell phone to the eye of the Android, QR code, huh? This will work, right? Still money? It's just, yeah.
I think we're pretty much out of time now. We can't really go in depth here.
Well,
but we are planning to do a robot sex episode
at one point or another,
and probably go through the episodes and check all our questions.
Yeah.
We're not promising anything, but we're going to try to go over our questions from all the episodes.
Yeah.
Pick out all the good ones.
So those watching, if you got an idea for us to do a show on that we haven't talked about yet, drop a line.
Yeah. Podcast ideas, please send us some.
Yeah, we've got plenty of ideas to do on our own. Eventually, we've got one for robot sex for sure. We'll eventually get to that. But any other ideas anybody has, string it our way. We'll see if the balloon floats. If it floats, we do it. If it doesn't float, we don't do it. odds are you send us a balloon, it's probably gonna float. we're pretty flexible around here. We can find a way to talk about just about any subject. So
Yeah, let us know what you want to hear us talk about.
hey, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.
Cheers.
Have a good weekend.